second trip into the Boundary Waters. That's the normal pack. The other packs, the tent pack's behind me. It is May 22nd. It was raining all day. Water's high. We're gonna see how this works out. Hoping to make it to Lower Basswood Falls. Not sure if we will, but you know what? We're on the water. Temperature's pretty decent. It's gonna be in the upper 50s, maybe low 60s throughout this week. We'll get a little wet, but should be beautiful. And of Tin Can Mike. Portage number 2. Daniel and his double-sided paddles moving really quickly. Wind stopped for a bit. Both portages you pretty much aimed for the bare pine trees, or the bare birch trees, so makes a nice little target to hit. So here we are. We got the Daniel.
What's up?
Schmoving along. Get the boys over in the back, and we're gonna keep paddling. The life vest works out pretty well. I like it. It's a good purchase. I feel pretty good in the rain suit. A little sprinkle, but not too bad. Horse Lake Portage. It's the second one on the way to the Basswood Falls. It's obviously muddy. You can hear the rapids, which is why there is a portage. We've seen a lot of sign up air, poop, whatnot, but it stopped raining for a bit. Here's Daniel carrying his canoe. I'll say this, carrying my canoe first makes me a lot happier. For some reason, I don't know.
It does actually.
Yes.
And actually, I think it's more comfortable with the life vest on. I don't know if it's padded or what.
Yeah, I got my life vest on too. And honestly, I'm leaving it on because I figure it has essentials. I packed my life vest with items that you might need at any point in time. Whistle, Mylar blanket, lighter. Obviously I got my map in here. I got some survival stuff in here. Ryan is a champ. He's doing well. See, he's got his rain pack on. Carrying 2 of the food bags.
That's because it's rained the whole time we're here.
I know, it's wet. But once you get wet, you're wet, so you just kind of deal with it. So what's neat about this portage is you end up with a little bit here that walks along the water. And of course you get to hear what it sounds like. But you know, you got to be careful of where you put your feet. So, not a lot of videos on the way here because it was raining the whole time. Second portage on Horse River up to the Lower Basswood Falls. We're feeling it. I'm feeling it in my shoulders, that's for sure. And in general, my back's all right. My hands are wet. My legs are kind of chilly, but it's all part of the adventure of getting here. We've only seen 2 groups leave, and it seems like everyone seemed to hold up on Horse Lake. So we got tent pack on the right and my pack on the left. We're just making extra trips. We're not trying to be crazy here, but this is why we're here. The Lower Basswood Falls. You do not want to go down it right now. So once you get to the lower side of the Lower Basswood Falls, there's actually 2 falls there. There's a pretty garbage portage there. Don't keep going. Make sure you stop shorter. You get some campsites over there. You got a campsite there. And you got one at the point way down there. It's been a long day. But a long day is worth it. So we're actually going to camp, since those are taken, we're gonna camp right over there. That's our plan. So we'll see. Let you know what it looks like. The Lower Basswood Falls that you portage around, it's pretty gnarly, man. I mean, it looks less gnarly from this angle, from the top, and you see how fast the water rushes in. It's pretty awesome. The current does something weird because of the other set of falls that mix in at 90 degrees. And the water kind of swirls out. And it swirls around this island. And it also swirls down and runs in front of those campsites. So it's the morning after our long journey to Lower Basswood Falls. It's taken us several hours to get going. It's taken us several hours to find a strategy for building a fire when everything's wet. That strategy includes making very tiny, tiny slivers of pine and slowly getting those ready, fanning the fire occasionally. It includes a rain tarp for the additional rain that we're going to have, secured in multiple spots, including even a rock in the water. It includes clotheslines everywhere. This is actually our food line that we went ahead and used as clotheslines. There's two ways you can get into this site. This is the more awkward one. It's also a good place to get water, though. We haven't thrown a pole in yet because honestly we've just been trying to dry stuff out. Our travel yesterday was in 100% rain, all but maybe 10-15% of it. But we get to see both falls. So let's take a look at our tent. Now the custom tent, of course, was used. It was set up in the rain. I started a setup video, but unfortunately it just decided to stop recording. Maybe because I hadn't unlocked the phone. Anyway, it worked. It rained all night. Of course, we still stayed dry. Despite there's gaps around the ends, it doesn't really seem to matter as long as you get drainage in the right direction. We threw up a vestibule just so that way we had a place that was dry outside the tent. It's big enough that we actually had a warm zone and a cold zone, or a wet zone and a dry zone, you could say. So you can see our sleeping bags back there on Tyvek to stay dry, and then we have an entire area that we are able to just keep wet things. We'll probably hang a few things up as well, so then that way we use this when it's raining as a place to just kind of keep things dry. But yep, the tent worked out well, despite the ends aren't completely sealed. Did a good job. A single large tarp would do a lot better than this mixture of two, because you always have a seam you're trying to waterproof. We had to modify our tension on the site because basically it just drops off straight into the water and there's no place to really tie off. But if you want to cover the fire, you have to have some way to create tension at that point. We did that with a pair of sticks to get us our height, and then a single rock wasn't enough. So you can see down there what Dan thought up was he brought a basketball hoop that we were able to put a large rock in, a carabiner, and just tie it to it. And that creates enough tension and it holds those two sticks back far enough. And then I gorilla taped on the tarp there where the clip is, just to kind of create a little bit more longevity. But it works. It's an odd mixture of ropes, but we figured out a way to keep our site dry. So the other thing we did last night is we took all of our dried wood that we had split and dried over the fire. We brought it into the tent with us. So that way we have at least dry wood that we can get started with. we've done lessons learned in the past. Previously, our lesson learned was don't bring so much crap, so you got to carry it. So Ryan,
That is agreeable.
that's agreeable, but what have we learned on this trip that we think we would apply for the next one?
Bring even less crap.
Even
We still brought too much crap.
Yeah, we brought way too much food again.
Yeah, we're not going to eat it all. Well, we will do our best to eat it all, but
Yeah, food in particular is what we brought too much of.
Be more prepared for the rain. Extra clothes.
Zipper bags.
yeah, we certainly could have put more things in Ziploc bags because our
Ziploc
bags basically went in the water in how much rain they took in from 6-7 hours of being in the rain.
Yep. Rain jacket. You might waterproof your clothes, but
You're at the outside, not the inside, right?
yeah. But for a torrential downpour the whole way to where you're going, that's a different story.
Yeah. So we also learned that it takes a long time to start a fire when everything's wet, and everything meaning everything you find. Pine needles, everything was wet. So it took to splitting them really, really small. Hats off to Jason and Ryan for taking the time to split logs all day long to get them nice and small. But they're good now. We actually have a fire now. And have had for most of the day.
Yeah.
Bring, if you're going to bring a stove, make sure that it works when it's wet.
Yeah.
Solo stove's great, but
Jet
doesn't
oil,
work when it's wet.
little propane stoves.
Yeah, propane stoves work well. Jet oil work well. So we'll see what the next couple days bring. Bring tarps so you can protect yourselves because it's going to be raining. So we'll keep the wood dry. We'll have a place to hang out. Hang up your clothes when you get a chance.
Yes.
Saturday morning. Sky's out. Well, sun's out. Blue skies are visible. It's the prettiest, nicest day. And of course, it's the day that we're leaving this campsite. With the sun out, everything's prettier. Everything's nicer. And I'm already having my head swarmed by little flies. So one of the plus sides to it being wet and muggy and cloudy was that we didn't have any problems with flies. Except now that the sun's out and it's going to be nicer, wind's low. I don't even feel the breeze right now. I think I'm going to be swatting flies, wearing my head net all day is I think what's going to happen. So I think you just saw one there. So yeah, it's black fly season already at the end of May. So it's time to bundle up, but enjoy the views while you can. When you make your way up to this, when you go up this fall, one of the things that's going to be mentioned is looking at petroglyphs. So there's these red ink markings. You can see some more right in front of Dan's boat there. And then some of the more noticeable ones are here.
Whoa! Look at that. That's awesome. That's like a moose. 2 moose.
Looks like it.
There's something over there. Wow.
Watch out for this rock coming up ahead. And you just get these really cool rock walls. So we'll do some lessons learned. One of the lessons we learned was that if you think you're prepared for being wet, you're probably not. And it's questionable how much preparation you could do, but we certainly could have done better. One of the things that I thought I did really well, and to some extent I did, was to take all of my clothes, all of my backup clothes, put them all in Ziploc freezer bags, and put that inside a dry bag, and that dry bag was inside my pack. that was good. All those layers stayed perfectly dry. What I didn't do was, in some haste, I put all of my gloves, all of my stocking caps, a couple coats, like jackets, in the top part of my pack, you know, where it wasn't in a bag, it wasn't waterproofed, and they were just absolutely soaked. Took a couple days to dry out. We weren't prepared for it to rain the entire time we came up here. It was a long time. You know, it's like we set in the water at 8 a.m. and we pulled out at about 6 p.m. and it rained for all but 1 hour, and it varied from light to heavy. So we learned that we should probably spend more time planning on being wet. My Frog Tog rain jacket did great. It didn't absorb any water. It stayed dry. It was my lifesaver, quite honestly, because all my other jackets got so wet they weren't keeping me warm. I had a polyester turtleneck that's thin that I wear for hunting. That got wet. If it wasn't for that jacket, I wouldn't have had anything else warm to wear. All my other stuff got wet, for outer wear anyway. My thermals were fine. My pants were fine because I kept 2 pairs of pants in Ziploc bags. Some of the other guys were in it a little rougher because they didn't have backup boots, they didn't have backup shoes, they didn't have backup anything other than underwear and underthings. So they were wet and they stayed wet. I have 2 shoes. I actually took the time to carry these boots. They're not real tall, but I kept them in a pack. What I've been wearing are sandals with merino wool socks and then waterproof socks that are knee-high. The waterproof socks that are knee-high did a pretty good job of keeping my feet dry. They just got cold over the day. Those sandals worked out really well, and I kept my boots dry. I'm lucky they stayed dry because they were in the top of my pack. They were in plastic bags, not in waterproof bags. My top of my pack never actually went in. So, but the bottom of my bag did, completely soaked. It got a lot heavier after that. We also went light, but we didn't go light enough. We still each had a redundant thing. And we don't need a redundant thing when you have multiple people because you all carry one thing of each type, and the redundancy is in the group, not in the individual. So we'll make it a little lighter next time for sure. We weren't planning on starting a fire when wet, but we did learn a few tricks and picked up a few tricks, and we managed to make it happen. We managed to dry everything out. The rack that you see there, we did 2 of those for drying out clothes above the fire. The tarp was good, but wasn't big enough. We need a bigger tarp for these campsites. I had enough string. I used mason line. That worked really well. It was lightweight, and it was just strong enough to do the job. Makes knots decently enough. Tent worked out great. Wouldn't change anything other than finishing the seams and a couple of the details. I'm sore. My back is sore. My legs are fine, but my back was sore coming into this. Dan hurt his wrist. He had to makeshift a splint because he damaged something. We don't know what yet, but with the splint, he's okay. Ryan had ACL surgery. He had his ACL replaced. It was completely obliterated about 8 months ago. For him to make this trek's amazing. And Jason is just out of shape, and he was sore too. I'm out of shape. I'm not as sore as I thought I would be, but I knew my back was hurting going in, and it was hurting pretty much most of this trip. I'm okay a little bit now, but I just need to work out more. This is a long trek for somebody that hasn't worked out. If you're out of shape, you're gonna hurt, and if it rains the entire time, you're gonna feel like it wasn't worth it. But like all these trips, when you sit down here in a chair next to a fire, listen to the roaring sound of the Basswood Falls, you realize it was totally worth it. This was a good trip. We got everything pretty much cleaned up. We're going to have some dinner, relax. We're a day ahead of schedule for leaving, but we're going to take our time and maybe interim camp on Horse or Mudro or Tin Can or Sandpit. It's Sunday morning, May 26th, 2019. We have cleaned up and picked up our campsite. We've got all of our garbage packed up. We'll be packing that out. Dan's sleeping. I'm just enjoying a little sunrise and the constant soothing sounds of the waterfall. We're going to play it by ear and decide if we're going to interim camp on tin can or sand pit or maybe even horse, or if we're just going to continue back the whole way. It really just depends on how we're feeling. We're not in a huge hurry. We actually have until Tuesday night, really. So we might go back early, spend some time with family. Kind of surprise them. I know they'd love to see us too, but you know, once you're up here, you never want to leave. The sky's beautiful. Should be a good day to travel though. So we're looking forward to taking advantage of that after traveling in the rain. Would definitely stay at this campsite again. This seat is not comfortable as is. And on long distances, my low back and my mid back was really hurting me. Well, I had this camp chair, and I thought I'd find a way to rig it up so that it behaved as a canoe chair. You can see it's zip tied there and there, and it's wire tied there. Slip it on and you got a seat. You can see with the seat inserted, I actually have the ability to have a low backrest, and it cups the sides a little bit too, so it is incredibly comfortable. It also saves the weight in my pack. This has been a back saver. This is the reason why I'm going to be as comfortable as I am today. So it works out well. Feel free to use it. I think the only thing I'd change about it is that right now I can't slide the seat back and forth because of how I zip tied it and secured it. But that's an easy fix. I think securing it to the seat, allow the seat to move a little bit, so it'll give you that adjustment while still giving you the backrest. Winning combination. And we are back. This is the Mudro Lake entry point near Ely, Minnesota. Dan and I did it in 2 solo canoes. Portages took longer because we had that giant tent bag that was really designed to have a large group of people. So, you know, everyone carries their pack, they come back. Some people take canoes, some people take the tent and the food. Coming back, just Dan and I, that meant we had to either triple portage or just Dan manned up and carried it at the same time. Certainly doable. Solo canoes are fantastically fun. They're really lightweight. It's neat. It'd be neat for a short trip or a much lighter pack. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Next time, ultralight, solo canoe it again, and single portage everything. And be in better shape.
Do it more often.
That's right.